Hi, the lesson I'm sharing with you today is called The Orientation to the Worship Space. And it's kind of a funny lesson because it's not really a lesson, it's more like an introduction to the classroom. A lot of new 4-year-olds have come up to the preschool classroom, and preschoolers and kindergartners have moved up to the older elementary class for a couple of weeks now. But this is kind of a chance to reorient and reset as we introduce this lesson right here at the beginning of a new season in our church, in which we have the parish context and we have here the Westside Church kind of switching schedules back to that 9:30 and 11:30 format. So we're going to kind of use this time frame as a reset in a sense, a reintroduction to those students who have been in the classroom. They've heard lessons and they've seen what the classroom is like, and so now we'll kind of boil things down to what they can expect for the rest of the year. And so this lesson will be taught here in the middle of October this time around, although it will be retaught at different times of the year, just as we move up kids from previous classes to make sure that they get oriented into their new classrooms. So as I'm sharing today, it's a little strange to share this lesson all by myself, because the way this lesson works is as I begin, I'll introduce a few concepts, and then I will, in the classroom setting, I would demonstrate using the material, and then I would let maybe 4 or 5 children also demonstrate their use of the material. I'm not going to do that here because it would be really awkward to roll out a rug and do that for you here, because I think you will get the picture. But as you introduce the concepts, you would very slowly, very deliberately demonstrate how to use the materials, and then you would look around the circle and you would choose a student all by themselves to basically mimic what you have just done and lay out the same material deliberately and carefully. And you would encourage them and give feedback about how they did. They'd walk back to their seat, and another child would have the chance. It's very long and it feels a little arduous when you're in the midst of it, but it's very intentional because it's helping the kids to practice and see exactly how they're supposed to behave when it comes to their time in the classroom sanctuary. So it seems a little silly to do it so slowly and so deliberately, but especially with the preschool class, this is a way for them to really truly understand what's expected and for there to be no question about their understanding. So I won't actually demonstrate all of those things, but I think you'll get the picture. And I'll also, when I'm teaching this class with the older students, I won't necessarily have them do it individually with the older elementary kids. They have a little more practice and experience, of course, so you might have just one student demonstrate how to use each material, and then ask for feedback from the students themselves, or give a little feedback from your own perspective. But you don't have to drag it out so much with the older students. This slow and deliberate pace is especially important for the younger kids that have just come up from the toddler classroom, who haven't had a lot of structure in their classroom up to this point. So all that to say, I hope that the lesson makes sense, and if you have any questions or you'd like to kind of see what the materials look like in person a little bit more, then please feel free to come by on a Sunday, but I won't actually pull out all the different materials for the sake of this lesson. So, okay, thank you. Pardon me. All right, so the first thing that you would do once the children are gathered and seated around the circle is you would change the circle of the church here. So you would move the arrow up a little bit closer to Advent and Christmas, which is there at the top of the calendar, or you could even think of it as a clock ticking along, and remind the children that just around the corner they'll be preparing for Christmas. In fact, as you're getting them seated and circled around, because we're getting closer and closer to Advent, you might even begin to ask them and go around the circle and have each of them share something that they may have seen or thought about that began to get their hearts and minds ready for Christmas. Maybe even seen the fall and the beginning of the seasonal change, or maybe they've seen things in stores, or begun reading stories, or thought about things in their classrooms at school that are giving them a little hint about Christmas around the corner. Um, so yes, you'll have a little bit of time to get the kids settled and ready for the lesson, and there's no reason to rush, especially with those younger ones. Just keep it nice and easy, and you'll have plenty of time for what you need to do today. So have time to talk, change the circle of the church here, and then you'll begin your lesson. Of course, we always start with a prayer, but might as well mention that too. Okay, all right, and then you'll go and get this box and begin. And I'm going to put this down so that you can see the images that I'm pulling out of the box. All right, look at this box. I wonder what it could be. Isn't it interesting? It's different than a parable box, isn't it? It's not quite the same. In fact, even though it's made of wood, even though it has a rectangular or square shape, the things that are inside this box are very different. I wonder if the things inside of this box will also help us to understand the way that we spend time with God, or maybe the way that the kingdom of God works, just like a parable. Do you think so? Look what's inside. So smooth and shiny. Such a nice, pleasant green color, isn't it? Did you know that when you come into this room, we have all the time we need? We don't have to rush. We don't have to hurry. We don't have to think about the clock ticking and ticking and telling us to go, go, go. We can walk more slowly, talk more peacefully, take our time. This is a special place. In the large room where your parents go, they don't have to hurry and rush either. They're in a sanctuary. We have a sanctuary in our heart, a special place for God within us, but also when we gather in a place where we can pay attention to God, and we don't have to hurry and worry about everything that's happening outside. We're in a sanctuary too. We have a sanctuary within us, but when we gather together in a special place for God, we can call that a sanctuary too. Look at this. What are these children doing? You're right, they're walking. Are they running or jumping? There's a time for that. But these children are walking. They don't have to hurry. They don't have to rush. They're walking peacefully. Watch, I will show you how you can walk in this worship space, in this sanctuary. And at that point, you would get up, you'd walk to the door, you'd walk slowly back without making a sound, just slow and deliberate, no rushing. And then you'd sit back at the circle. I wonder if you can show me that same kind of walking. Can you show me how to walk here in the worship space, in the classroom sanctuary? And then you'd have either one with the older children or 4 or 5 with the younger children. Literally get up one at a time, walk all the way to the door, encouraging them as they're walking, giving feedback as they're walking. They walk all the way back. Another way to get ready to hear the stories of God is to sit in a circle. You're sitting in a circle now. When we sit in a circle, we have a special way to sit. I wonder if you can tell me what that is. Look at these children. How were they sitting? Are you sitting that way? How about these children? Are they sitting that way? Did you know that when you sit with your legs crisscross or your arms crisscross, it helps your brain to work better because it helps your right brain and your left brain to connect even better than they already are. So sitting crisscross helps our legs and our arms to stay under control, and it helps our brains to work better. I wonder if you can show me how you can sit this way. Sit the way we sit here in the worship space, in the classroom sanctuary. Can you show me? I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, who else? 5, 6. 6 friends who are ready to listen to stories about God. At this point, a really great strategy that's part of the positive discipline model is to point out a child that's sitting great and to not just encourage the children to sit like the individuals in the picture, but to even say, I wonder if you can sit like Sarah. I wonder if you can sit like Tom, and point out the child that is sitting properly and encourage them, give them a compliment, and then encourage the other children to model after the child. So you can do that again and again, not just in this lesson, but also on a regular Sunday. So yeah, go around, make sure everyone's seated the way they're meant to. Okay. Look at this picture. Look at these children. What are they doing? You're right, they're talking to each other. They're talking softly. In fact, they're very close to one another while they're talking. They're not shouting across the room or yelling. Maybe if they were at a playground, they would do that. But they're talking right next to each other. They don't need to shout. Another way we get ready to be here in the worship space, to be in the classroom sanctuary, is to speak in a soft voice. You hear my soft voice. Your other teachers will talk in a soft voice. Listen, I can say my name very softly. Listen. My name is Julia. I wonder if you can show me how to say your name softly. Then you'll go around the circle and let each child say their name softly. You might even play telephone or something that helps them to practice their whispering and soft talking skills. You know, sometimes we do talk loudly, and that's okay. But here, we don't need to talk loudly. We can talk softly, speak peacefully. And when we're here in the classroom, we can talk softly because we don't have to hurry and worry. And if you ever hear a teacher talk very loudly or scream and shout, that means there's an emergency. If there's not an emergency, then you can talk softly. There's no reason to shout unless there's something to worry about. You know, when you walked into the room today, you saw some things on the shelves. There's a lot of things on the shelves. There are stories on the shelves and artwork on the shelves and puzzles on the shelves. You've probably seen them before, and maybe you've used them before too. Sometimes when you come, you're able to use some of them. And when you use these materials, you need a special place, just for you. A special place where you don't have to worry about any of your things getting moved or stepped on. Pardon me for a moment. I left the other picture over here.